And I'm Landon.
And this is In Their 20s, a web series where we speak with influential people to learn about what they were doing in their 20s. This week we spoke with Carolyn Grisko. She's been a communications legend, being in that career field for her entire career, working on several political campaigns, including Mayor Richard Daley's and Lori Lightfoot's more recently, as well as starting out her career in the radio programs at her school, as well as going into Chicago radio station.
And of course, we do mention that she has her own company, Grisko. They focus on public relations, marketing, digital marketing, and public affairs. Huge communications firm. It's approaching its 25th year as a company next month. Very special. She has a large and strong team. A lot of those young people as well who are currently in their 20s who are killing it in the industry. So it was just nice to be able to sit down with Carolyn, talk about her career, her journey, and her advice for young people as they enter this very, very large industry.
And before we jump into that interview with Carolyn, make sure you're clicking that subscribe button and commenting what you think about the interview.
Perfect. All right, let's jump in. First off, very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And yeah, we're super excited for this interview. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to speak with us on In Their 20s. We created this, of course, to inspire people in their 20s during a very difficult time. To have business leaders like you come on the show to share your advice, your inspiration, times that you have had to deal with challenges and how you overcame those. It really means a lot. So thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course.
Happy to talk to everybody.
Thank you. So for our first question, we saw that you attended Northeastern Illinois University for college, studied communications. What originally got you interested in communications as a career?
College radio. I think that's where a lot of people get bitten by the bug of communications. And I ended up beginning my, so first of all, I'm testament to the fact that you can go to a mediocre college and do well. Because, in terms of like, it's not tier one, school. And that becomes, I think, less important over time to just persevere and to make the best out of that experience. I had a great experience there. Originally planned to be a special education teacher, and to the benefit of children throughout the region. That didn't happen because I did indeed fall in love with communications through the campus radio station, and then began working in radio pretty much out of college.
That's amazing. And I really love your comment there as well, because I feel like a lot of people, especially in their 20s, they think that, okay, I need to go on this very specific track. This is my 5 to 10 year plan. I need to do this in order to do that, in order to do this. I think it's great to plan for the future. Of course, everybody needs to do that. But in the middle of that, you need to plan for the present. You need to be able to, experience new things, be able to try new things, because you never know. I mean, you might find new interests, new hobbies that then become passions and then become careers as well. So that's really interesting.
Definitely a testament to lack of planning and taking advantage of opportunities that presented themselves in the moment, and being a little bit taking leaps of faith, which I think actually in your 20s is a great idea. This is the time where you should experiment. And this is also the time when no matter what degree you graduate with, especially with the world kind of upside down right now, really think about what makes you passionate. Like, where do you really want to make a difference? And then just go for that. I really, truly believe that if you do that and think less about the money, the next career step, it'll work out. If you're passionate about your work, then it doesn't feel like work, and you'll excel at it, and the money will take care of itself. You'll be able to support yourself, over time.
And Carolyn, you said that you obviously enjoyed your time in radio while you were in college, which led you to one of your first positions held out of college was actually with WBEZ FM Chicago Public Radio as one of their program hosts. What would you say was your favorite part about having a position where you were a host for a radio show? And what did you learn from this position that you were able to apply to the broader communications career?
So before I was a host, I actually started doing that after I started having children. Before that, I was a political reporter and news director. So I wouldn't have been able to go out of college and host a program because I didn't have enough experience in the world. In fact, I think back on some interviews that I did as a junior reporter and cringe a little bit because I wasn't really sure, like I wasn't really well grounded. But fortunately, it was a fledgling news operation, and we didn't have much of an audience in the beginning. So I think, but to your question, one of the same skills of being a good reporter and being good in communications is listening, like really, really listening, which doesn't mean that you never speak in a conversation, but picking up on the nuances that people put out there, the little breadcrumbs that they may drop, and tracking that down and really exploring and finding something interesting about everybody. Every talk show host has had somebody on the program, and 3 sentences in, you think, oh my God, I hear radios turning off all over the region, because they're just not animated, they're droning, whatever it is. But that's your job, and you can get out of that the interesting thing if you're listening well enough, not panicking, and just trying to draw out, okay, what do I really want to learn from this person? And then perhaps how soon can I move on to the next guest?
And while you were doing that, who would you say was your favorite guest, and what made that your favorite experience?
Wow, that's going back a ways. I had so many good opportunities. I think perhaps former President Carter, he was out of office, but he was a great interview. It was really a great interview. Former Black Panthers, talking about Chicago in the 60s. I was a little bit on the young side for all that action, but kind of caught the tail end of it. And one thing I remind my team and the younger people on my team is that, we've had real chaos in the streets before. Shoot to kill orders from the mayor, looting, violence, the political demonstrations at the convention in '68. And we got through all that. And I believe we'll get through all of this as well.
Very powerful. Thank you for touching on that, because of course, we have this pandemic, downward economy, but a lot of the social unrest as well. So it's good to know that, we will persevere, we will fight through all this.
I think that's true. That's what we do. I can't believe the American experiment is going to fail here,
Of course. Yes. Brighter future always.
Yep.
So now to transition, we'd love to talk about your company, Grisko, which goes into its 25th year next month. First off, congratulations. Over the past 25 years, this company of yours has grown into a strong, successful company where you provide public relations, marketing, digital media marketing, and communications to a lot of different companies and businesses. Very amazing. If you could just touch on your experiences, building Grisko to what it's become today, but then also, what do you specifically look for in younger employees that you hire?
That's a good question. We've kind of combined, I guess when we started, there weren't that many communications agencies really focused in the public affairs space, which is support for legislative or regulatory issues, really big, broad public issues. So we really started, our first project was to help stop an airport from being built in Peatone, which, by the way, was always a bad idea, still remains a really bad idea, and would have hurt Midway and O'Hare. So I kind of learned by doing and working, frankly, with really good professionals at American and United, as well as at the city, and lobbyists who really worked with us so that we understood from a communication standpoint what you need to do to move public opinion on a broad scale, and more importantly, votes in the Illinois legislature. So we kind of pivoted from that to helping expand O'Hare and Midway with the terminal building at Midway, and of course, all the new runways and soon to be terminals at O'Hare. So we kind of dabbled in aviation. We've always done a lot of work in transportation. And then from there, other public issues. This will make me really sound old, but we worked with the American Cancer Society, for example, to obliterate smoking in public buildings in Illinois. Wow. That was still a thing. In fact, it was still a thing on airplanes, if you can imagine that.
Crazy.
Yeah, really crazy. So, big public interest projects helped us to kind of, A, put us on the map, and B, lead to other work. We worked at airports, several other airports all over the country. What I look for in young employees, actually, Sabia Noor, who facilitated this, is a really great example of embodying the characteristics that I look for, because primarily it is that proactiveness. One of the things that you want your younger employees to understand, and some intrinsically kind of get it, is helping your clients, always looking around the corner, anticipating what the next thing should be for them. What are the challenges that they're going to encounter, or what are the opportunities? And Sabia has a real knack for generating those opportunities and really being proactive. I mean, she's not a wallflower. She leans in, and she really learns everything there is to know. I mean, that's one thing about our industry in marketing and communications, public relations. You really have to be entrenched in your clients' business models and really understand what makes them special, what's their secret sauce, how do you elevate that, and is that still working for them, and then looking for ways to do it. It's particularly challenging in media relations right now, as you can imagine, because you combine the shrinking of media, especially local media, over the last decade with this current moment in time. If you're not talking about politics or COVID, it's a challenge, and it's a challenge that my team does meet every day. But that's also about fostering relationships with reporters, which, in and of itself can be a little bit overrated these days, just because people move around so much. I think it's really more the ability to do the research, to understand who's reporting on your issue at this moment, and then to be able to give them a bespoke pitch, not a press release that's like, sure, you might have one up your sleeve, but, really pitching to really understanding how they report, what they report, and then pitching specifically to their interests.
And Carolyn, you talk about understanding your client and seeing exactly what their needs are, what's trying to be communicated, as well as a interviewer, when you were a program host, knowing or picking up on breadcrumbs and really honing in on those listening skills. But when you're trying to broadcast to the public, what are some communication skills that work best and are most effective?
It depends on the issue, on the client, on the project. Obviously, social media is key, but it's not for a heavy lift. Social alone isn't going to get you where you want to go, unless you hit, the jackpot and you're the ice bucket challenge. And look at how many people have tried to reproduce that in one way or another. Sometimes it's just, magic that happens. So I think one of the reasons we became an integrated agency was that, clients would come and say, we need public relations, and we would look at what they're trying to do and say, you need PR might help a little, but what you really need is an integrated digital marketing campaign, or, whatever the campaign might be. It's a matter of being able to assess which specific tools is going to help in a particular instance, whether it's a corporate client, a consumer brand that we don't do too much of, but Ventra, for example, How do we let people know that you can now pay with your Apple phone and soon with your Android phone in order to get on the CTA or PACE?
Right. So in this case, it's almost more understanding your client to know how to reach the public or whoever they're trying to reach, rather than going for the public first. You want to go for the client first.
Right. You need to, one of the most important things is to separate the audiences and really speak to each individual audience, prioritize those audiences. I mean, right now, a lot of our clients, their priority is internal communications. As COVID has dragged on, as we're heading into a winter, people are tired. People are tired. People are losing focus. Employees with children are particularly challenged, especially if they're of school age or younger. And so it's important for employees to understand the challenges, employers to understand what their employees are facing, to try to meet those challenges and communicate as much as they can about the resources that are available and, you know, what the expectations are as people, in some cases, return to workplaces. Although that's probably, we're going to probably see a little less of that than we may have thought in the near future.
So Carolyn, for our final question for you, when it comes to political campaigns or even, you know, getting a job in City Hall, is that something that you'd recommend people in their 20s to look into?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you know, okay.
Absolutely. I have a niece who was doing Hispanic outreach. Her mother's Colombian. Her last name is Grisko, but her mother's Colombian. Hispanic outreach for Bernie, and then flipped over to the Biden campaign. And, you know, she's having the ride of her life right now. Those are experiences that in communications, I mean, that's what a campaign is about. It's an amazing learning experience, and I do recommend it. Government, not for everyone, but if you have an opportunity to be a public servant for a while, I think you will learn things and, again, get relationships that will stand the test of time over your career. People who have that experience do tend to bond and stick together, just like, you know, your college friends do. So look for leadership opportunities, but look for learning opportunities as well. And political campaigns are one way to go.
All depends on what you're interested in. But of course, I mean, it seems if you do want to get involved in politics, of course, you know, find a movement or a candidate that you're really interested in and passionate about.
No question.
Yeah. So Carolyn, it was a pleasure. Thank you again for taking time out of your schedule to speak with us on In Their 20s. Again, as your firm approaches 25 years, huge congratulations. That's really an amazing, amazing accomplishment. And we're really excited for you and your team. Before we do depart, Michael, did you have anything else to add?
No, Carolyn, I think it was great to have you on today. And it was lovely for you to talk about what you've picked up throughout your career, and congratulations as well on your company's 25th year.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.